I found this episode revolving around the magazine bleh to be rather bleh. Okay, sorry, I had to. Speaking seriously though, Blananas was, alright. For me, it was lukewarm fun, where there was enough amusing and cute interactions to keep things enjoyable, despite the core plot being more on the uninteresting side. Jake is gone, abducted by his bio daddy, leaving only a brief note, and after Finn finally remembers what BRB stands for with BMO's misguided aid, Finn decides to trust that his doggo brother can handle whatever is happening, and decides to chill out in a massage chair and read some comics in bleh. Finn comes across one of those you write the caption challenges that I personally don't care for whatsoever. I don't know what it is, but I've never once felt compelled to fill one in throughout my entire life. My brain doesn't even give the smallest thought toward it when I see one of those. That's how much it's just not my thing. It's apparently really Finn's thing though, since he gets swept up into a fervor when BMO declares that Finn's joke isn't really that funny. Although the main reason Finn gets so worked up is that without Jake, he's really bored.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty bored.
Oh, I've been there, being so bored that you intentionally get overinvested in something silly or not important, and even become over the top and pseudo-antagonistic about it for fun.
Prove it!
Fine! I'm going to!
Fine! I'll be right here!
Fine!
Fine!
Yeah, I can relate. Those little waves of goodbye that Finn and BMO perform for each other were super duper cute, by the way. Best part of this episode. The second best part of this episode comes right after P-Bubs randomly blasting apart buildings as part of a war drill. We're only in the Candy Kingdom, so Finn can pitch his joke to Princess Bubblegum, but it was a nice touch to include how over-the-top PB has become herself in regards to her anxieties about Gumball and company. It's also a nice midpoint for transitioning into the events we later see in the episode Gumbaldia. Bonnie's response to Finn's joke is handing him a book to read so he can better understand humor.
Der Witz und seine Beziehung zum Unterbewussten. The joke and his relation to the unconscious.
This is actually a book by Sigmund Freud, the father of psychoanalysis, whose overall body of work hasn't exactly aged well. Kinda weird how PB recommended such a book considering Freud's ideas often didn't coincide well with legitimate science that came later, but hey, I haven't read this particular book, so perhaps it has some decent and interesting discussion in it. I'd imagine the third section is probably pretty sketchy, but the first two sections might contain interesting social commentary. If anyone watching this actually has given this book a read as part of a college class or something, I don't know, give your thoughts on it in the comments, I'd be curious to read them. Anyway, Finn is not going to read the book. Even if it was a version translated into English, he probably would have still abandoned it pretty quickly. Finn's next pitch is to Ice King, since Finn considers Ice King to be desperate for his approval. I found this to be rather comical, as currently Finn is the one so desperate for approval that he has to resort to Ice King. Unfortunately for Finn, Ice King tries his hand at the caption and ends up one-upping the lad. The two do end up bonding over their mutual love of bleh, however, and I found this simply adorable. It's not like Finn will go out of his way to specifically hang out with Ice King or anything, but when the two do end up together for whatever reason, they now feel like legitimate friends, and it makes sense after all the adventures they've had. Ice King's gradual progression throughout the series into being a better person, somebody who is now semi-reformed, and somebody who has managed to acquire actual friends, is something that continually fills me with so much joy. Little moments like these just carry so much heart to them when you consider the chronology of the show, and just how much Ice King has grown as a character. Although of course, props to Finn as well, he's done a lot of growing up too, and it was just so nice to see the two goofs together. Ice King decides him and Finn should head to Bleh headquarters, and in so doing cracks the best dialogue-based joke of the episode.
Hey, if we want them to touch our goods, we should go down there and confront them face to face.
We get a nice little callback to the episode Reign of Gunters, as Ice King decides to make use of the demonic wishing eye. Apparently, it takes a chunk of your soul each time, hence the rarity of seeing it in action. Speaking of seeing it in action, we actually get to literally witness how it works, and when making a wish, the necklace transports you to a dimension with a peculiar visual style. This was really unexpected and caught me super off guard. My face was pretty much just like Finn's. This bit only lasts 13 seconds, but it was a fun little touch. It's just one of many little things in this episode that adds the spice of enjoyability. So Finn and Ice King get sent to Bleh headquarters, which is in the middle of an abandoned city overtaken by Swampland, but the building is guarded by a pudding troll who lets them in upon being defeated. Surprise, surprise! Everyone inside is long dead, and the pudding troll has a sobering revelation that he's wasted many years of his life.
I've been guarding dead people for 500 years. Wow, I need to sit with that.
He bounces back pretty quickly though, because he ends up enthusiastically helping Finn and Ice King print one final issue of Bleh. There were some great comedic moments in the office building. Finn jumps onto a skeleton's lap like it's no big thing, and then later slides into the scene on that same chair, still sitting in the skeleton's lap. That gave me quite a big chuckle. Ice King summoning his penguin horde via conch shell to help run the presses was also really funny. And of course, I want to take a moment to appreciate some of the amusing background decor. Anatomy of a Biff. Smother your woes with banana peels and poot gas. Comedy is pain. Laughter lengthens life. Follow your funny bone. Oh, and here we have a chair taped to the ceiling for no reason. There's a Gag Order of Cartoonists award next to a portrait of the founder, who has a burger head for some reason. Somebody scribbled in the letter L to make it Our Flounder. That's a nice touch. There's a Best Jest award, an I Don't Get It award, as well as what looks to be a Worst Joke award in the corner there, though I'm not sure exactly because it is cut off. There's also a calendar schedule that's got some pretty great text. Pun pitches, knee slappers, research and development, all-day Ribald roundtable, bring snacks please, no bacon. I wonder what went wrong with bacon before. Joke storm, giggle huddle, quip queries, in all seriousness. Post-National Day of Government Ridicule, no work. I mean, such a notion of government ridicule is indeed timeless, but it would make sense for the current political debacle we have in the US right now to have inspired such a holiday. I especially love how it's specifically a post-National Day. But yeah, back to the rest of the schedule. Apparently Bleh engages in actual work very rarely. Cheese Platter, get in early. Humor Hour, from 4 to 6. A 2-hour Humor Hour. And then the following week, apparently Humor Hour was reduced to just 1 hour. But yeah, this was a pretty amusing screen grab to read. We're pretty much forced to pause to appreciate it, as there's only 4 seconds of screen time where it's visible, and Finn obscures part of it for like a second of that. I'm still amazed at how much work the creators put in to something that we can't take in while the episode is rolling. We have to actually pause it to take it all in. That's kinda great, and not many shows do things like that. In Bleh headquarters, there's also a couple images of this detective guy who doesn't seem very humorous, so I'm not sure what's up with that. Then again, we can't make out his dialogue, so maybe looking serious is part of some kind of gag. I don't know. And that's a dick drawing. Sorry, but I really can't see that as anything but a snuck-in dick doodle. The press machine control console says, warning, keep small hands clear of controls, which is something that's clearly being ignored by the multitude of small-finned penguins running the operation. As for the final magazine that Finn, Ice King, and the Pudding Troll create, well, I don't think I really have to say much, cause it speaks for itself. Well, except for that page right there. I don't think there's a joke, so yeah. What a depressing page that is. Cuts kinda deep. So, as Finn is getting all excited over the prospect of relaunching Bleh, Ice King gives the order to destroy everything, and the penguins do so with fervor. And Finn responds with an interesting quip.
No, you're right. Can't be nostalgic.
Even without the context of the episode, that's a pretty interesting sentiment to explore on its own. To let things stay as they are, to not let the power of nostalgia guide your decisions or control your feelings. Part of me also can't help but wonder whether this relates to Adventure Time a bit on a meta level. Perhaps some of the crew would rather not have Adventure Time ever be rebooted in the future. I mean, I'm kinda jumping assumptions there, but I don't know, just the power of Finn's remark really made my mind wander. So at the end of this adventure, with the new bleh in hand, Finn returns to the treehouse, bummed out that nobody out there seemed to like his joke, wondering whether his comedy stats are simply low. And then Finn slips on a banana peel, rips his pants, and careens into the massage chair. BMO and Neptr erupt in laughter, Finn gets his long-awaited approval, and the episode ends. It was quite the fun ending scene. I found it hard not to smile at the overblown sliding animation, as well as Finn's happy little face. After my first watch, I found this episode to be alright, to be serviceable, but upon rewatching Blananas to construct this review, I actually would probably upgrade it to pretty good. For some viewers out there, I'm sure the fact that we're so close to the finale makes it really hard to get invested in the old-fashioned shenanigan-based romp, but we do have to set the expectation of things wrapping up aside while watching these standalone episodes. Pretend this is a simple episode from the 3rd or 4th season or something, and it becomes much easier to enjoy. And in my opinion, while the core plot was pretty bleh, the execution of everything was great. There were many great interactions and humorous moments, and each scene flowed from one to the next really well. The humor was pretty interesting as well, in that I feel like the creators purposefully crammed in a variety of comedy. A lot of the jokes missed for me, some were okay, but there were still plenty that hit the mark. It makes sense for an episode revolving around jokes to include a wide array of them. This seems like a clearly intentional act. There wasn't commentary on what is funny and why. PB didn't have enough time to give us that, apparently. But instead, there was simply a smorgasbord for you to choose from in which jokes do it for you or which ones don't. Which I think was a pretty cool thing to implement. So maybe in the end, Blananas wasn't so bleh after all. And yes, I'm sorry to roll out that joke for the 3rd time. I mean, I wouldn't call Blananas great, but it was pretty fun. I gotta be honest though, if we had to sacrifice this episode to make Jake the Star Child a 2-parter with a slightly more interesting concept, I would say yes, do that, absolutely, do it, cut out Blananas. And yeah, that review is coming out next, so you'll get to hear my thoughts pretty soon. See ya then.